50 people there. They got lost. And now we're back on. Okay, give me one brief moment. Okay. Okay. Again, thank you for your patience, everybody. Okay. I'm just going to begin this again. The Zohar states in letter 17 that it is the response of an awakening from us, from here below, that we arouse our heart with the attribute of loving kindness and compassion for those that are in need and compassion, that reciprocates, that mirrors above an arousal of great compassion from God, who is the source of compassion. And that endows us then with, it bears fruit. It bears fruit. What is that fruit? We'll see. But the principle remains until the times of Mashiach. That's the statement. So what is the fruit? The fruit refers to the flow of benevolence that's bestowed from the source of compassion. And it comes downwards into this world and reflects itself, or it vests itself in the physical world with blessings. A family life, maintained and waiting, that will be truly experienced in the times of Mashiach, the world to come. What is that one mitzvah then? Well, it's the one thing that God himself performs at all times. And what's that? He animates the worlds. He is always creating. He is giving in a manner of being charitable. You know what? We are ultimately have-nots. Right? We didn't create ourselves. We're created and animated at all times by the Almighty. So we are in need of his compassion, that he will animate and create us and give us life at all times. And that's what he does. So when we observe the ways of God, which is also being giving, charitable, to give life to another, that will radiate, that in the times of the future, the times of Mashiach, that the magnitude of what we're doing today will be infinitely experienced, whereas today we don't. Today we will experience, well, we said the fruit that it bears. That's not the experience, though. But we do get an experience before the times of Mashiach, and that is in Gan Eden, in the Garden of Eden, where the souls go after 120, after we finished our time on earth here. But yet, point. And the proof is that all the souls that are there, the Tanoim and the Amoraim, the great sages, who you would think they would have the greatest place in the Garden of Eden above, they're waiting to come back down. to be vested, a soul and a body, through Tchias HaMesim, the resurrection. Why? Because the splendor of godliness will be much greater in the times of Mashiach than it is in the Garden of Eden. Why is that? How do we understand that? Because in the Garden of Eden, the level of light of God, vitality of God, the revelation of God is from what we call Memale Kol Almin, the light of God that fills the world. And for that light to fill the world, it has to be contracted to fill within the limited fashion of that world, meaning Garden of Eden. Spiritual world of the Garden of Eden. That's why our sages say that God So we have the soul that leaves this world and goes to the Garden of Eden. It continues its journey, and there it gets a light of God that imbues the soul, tantalizing the soul in a delight that it comprehends, apprehends of godliness. But it's a contracted light. It's a limited light. As opposed to the times of Mashiach, where it's an infinite light. Now with this we can understand what our sages use, a beautiful metaphor. And they say that in Gan Eden, there's no eating or drinking, but the righteous, they sit with crowns on their heads and they take the light and the radiance of the divine presence. What's this idea of a crown on your head? In Hebrew, that's called keser. Keser comes from the krateris, which is like the crown on top of a column. The crown on top of a column is an interface between the ceiling and the floor to hold together ceiling and floor. So you have a column and the top of the column that's holding it up. That is a metaphor for us to understand that Keser is a divine interface between what we call the Meitzel and the Netzel, between the emanator, God, and the emanations that come from God. You need an interface because between creator and then something of emanation, emanated beings in the worlds of Atzilus, you need an interface between the infinite and now finite, because it's a world So whereas that which is beyond, we can't experience now, and even in Gan Eden, the crown is on them, above them, beyond them. But in the times of Mashiach, when we will be a soul in a body, and you would think just like love. Every conclusion also means to every kalesa nefesh, every intense yearning, there's an end. What does that mean? That refers to the soul in Gan Eden, in the Garden of Eden. It has a great yearning. What's it? It's yearning? It wants to climb. It wants to grow. It wants to go from level to level. And hence, for example, our Yortzeit is a time that the soul is climbing up the ladder. Every year on the day of passing. And the Kaddish had said, and the Kiddush that's made in their honor, the tzedakah that we give in the honor of that loved one that passed away, allows the soul to ascend on the ladder. Right? And that's why it says about the righteous, and again, we're all righteous once we get to Gan Eden. We all make it. Through a process, of course. But this is what it means that there's no rest, not in this world, not in the next world. Because you always have to grow and climb, go up the ladder. However, in the times of Mashiach, it'll be time that's called Kulei Shabbos. Just all Shabbos. Entirely Shabbos, a time of rest. You don't have to climb, go up the ladder. You don't have to achieve spiritually. Because then will be revealed the radiance of God's essence that utterly transcends levels of climbing, reaching. So when it comes to revelation, when it comes to light, so there's levels. So we have to climb up the ladder. That's this world. That's in Gan Eden. But ultimately, there will be a revelation of the essence of God that is all-encompassing, that transcends levels. Really is the message. Celebrate it. So then we will have a time that will be Kulei Shabbos. A day that will be, a time period that will be completely Shabbos. We don't need to fix the world. We don't need to engage with the evils of the world because it won't be. They'll be eradicated. There'll only be the presence of the essence of God that will be the reality of everything revealed. And that's the end game. Again, very counterintuitive to what most people think. All right. Questions, comments, thoughts?
the story of Rabbi Yitzi Hurwitz and the song that they found on his cell phone. I can do my best, but essentially Rabbi Yitzi Hurwitz is I believe, Denver Chabad Rav, who unfortunately was diagnosed with ALS many years ago. And at this point, or until even a little while ago, I'm not sure right now, he was writing a weekly Torah using his eyes.
Yeah.
Actually, my sister-in-law and him were diagnosed the same week, and they both have the unusual, can't say it in a good way, but longevity of this horrific disease. And my sister-in-law is also still alive, and both of them have outlived their life expectancy. But Rav Hurwitz would write a Dvar Torah every single week on the Haftorah, using his eyes, which is just unbelievable. But the story I wanted to say was that they, and please correct me if I mess this up, they found in his cell phone a song that he had composed and recorded on his cell phone called Shine a Little Light.
Mm-hmm.
And they made a video, which I sent you in the back channel, and be happy to pin myself. And I can't watch it without crying.
Yeah.
But it's basically every major Jewish singer singing a part of it. And it is so inspiring. And included in it is Rav Yitzi singing it as well. And especially by Hanukkah time, it's so meaningful. And it's just so uplifting. And just when you were speaking of it, it just kept coming to me. Especially the contrast between the horrors of that disease, but the attitude I'm grasping for the right word, but the siyata d'shmaya, the positivity, the not giving up of being in such a situation where where a normal person would be totally justified in being suicidal and depressed. It's almost like derech mina teva to not be, in my view.
Yeah.
And I'm sure he has his moments, as does my sister-in-law. But again, it's just such an inspiring song, and if you know Jewish music, it's everybody, And so I just wanted to share that.
Thank you.
It's great to see you. Wish you Kekiva v'chatima tova. I will tell you one last thing, which is that I don't know if you realize, because we don't talk very often, but I hope you don't put me back under the stage, but I am a purebred Litvak. I trace my family from right after the Civil War, from a village that led to a town that led to Vilna, and I, of course, wear my grandfather's yarmulke when I davened for many years by Rabbi Kinelsky in New Jersey, and he, of course, would give me the spilkis over it, and it was very funny. Real quick, a story that he was giving out this, passing out the Lulavim and Esrogim one year, and somebody had bought a beautiful silver case. And so he went to the back to get it, and some other guy, he's a jovial man, and somebody else said, "Oh, what do I have to do to get a case like that?" And he says, "You want me to check for $5,000? I'll give you, I'll get you your case." And is the room they were doing this in was like an abandoned classroom where all the books were sitting around, and I found a book there that was just entitled Vilna. So I immediately, as a smart aleck, said to Rabbi Kinelsky, "How much for this book?" And he says, take it, get it far away from here as you can. And it turned out it's a fantastic book. It was written before the war. It's the JPS book, but regardless, it's all good stuff. And this year I will be in New Paltz with my daughter by the Chabad there, which I call the other Rav Moshe, with quotes. Moshe Project.
Beautiful.
So with best regards.
Thank you.
In the hope that I could daven from the Amid, I immediately went and bought a Nesach Matzah.
Beautiful. To you, thank you for sharing.
Amen.
Eyelids. That's it. No.
And how would he even open a sefer to prepare? It's from his knowledge and things like that.
Yeah.
I mean, it's unbelievable.
It's